Stepping out, it's Friday night.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Single Mother by Choice. My name is Martine, and today I'm going to share with you my 19th and 20 week pregnancy update. So let's get right into it. All right, so last time we left off, I had gone on a baby moon or a trip with my girlfriends. It was really going to be my last chance to travel before I give birth, so I took advantage of it, even though I couldn't quite afford to go. I'll tell you what I did to try to recover financially from that trip, even though it wasn't the most expensive trip I've ever taken, but I really had to save a lot of money when I came back, just because I'll be taking a year and a half off from work after I give birth. So I wanted to make sure that I continue to save and prepare for that time. So when I got back from the trip, I was exhausted. We made sure to come back on a Friday because I work at a school. We were off for winter break or whatever that recess time was, and it was back in February, and we left Saturday and Sunday to recover and do whatever you need to do, because you have to prepare in terms of grocery shopping and laundry and this and that. So we thought 2 days would be sufficient. Huh, was I wrong? When you're pregnant 2 days after a long trip like that, it wasn't long in the sense of, we were away for a tremendous amount of time. It was long in the sense of, all the driving we had to do. And of course, when you're in a city, you want to take advantage and walk around and do things and obviously experience what the city has to offer. So, being pregnant, even though I kept up with those girls, there was one night in particular, I think we stayed up till 1 or 2 in the morning, and I was able to go hard with them in that way, in terms of staying up and being out all day. But coming home and having to pick up again to start work, and my commute is 3 hours a day, it's just, I was exhausted for a long time. I was really, really tired for a long time. But eventually I recovered. It just took longer than it normally would have. I literally didn't do anything that Saturday or Sunday after getting back. I just was in my bed, catatonic, could not do a thing, did not go food shopping, nothing. I couldn't do anything. So a couple of things that happened that really aggravated me those couple of weeks, not just emotionally aggravating, but was hard on my body and made it harder to recover from the trip, was actually my experience with the Long Island Railroad. If you don't know, the Long Island Railroad is a commuter train that takes you from different parts of Long Island into Brooklyn or Manhattan or Queens, into the boroughs. And so they suck a lot. I say that because I feel like we as commuters pay so much money for a service, and that's another thing that, as I've gotten older, and particularly while I'm pregnant and hormonal, has really pissed me off, is we all work hard for our money, and I pay for a service. When I pay for a service, I expect I expect what I pay for, right? I expect good service in return. I'm paying you for something. I should get good service in return. Now, given, I know things happen, and I think that, my rational brain tells me that these railroads and even the New York City subway system, they just weren't prepared for the number of people that actually use them to commute back and forth. The population in New York City in particular has increased tremendously, and because life is really expensive in the city, a lot of people move to the suburbs and commute into the city for work. I'm one of those people. So during the time of the 19 and 20 weeks, I swear to God, there were 3 different instances where it took me, just one way, it took me 4, almost 5 hours to get home. after working all day. So just to give you an idea, I get up around 5:30 and I leave my house at 6. I usually will be home the latest 6:30, unless there's like a school event or something, but typically like 6 or 6:30. I mean, I swear to God, I left my job at, let's say, 4. I didn't get home till almost 9 o'clock one night. And the other night, I think I got home at 8. And then there was another instance too where it just like took forever. And because the railroad was obviously having a lot of issues, whether it was signal problems or there was a downed tree or something, at some point we had to, whatever, doesn't matter. Whatever the issue was, there were obviously a lot of people because there were delays and so on. There were like so many people waiting to get on specific lines to go home. And so there was no room to sit. And because I'm a larger person, I don't really always look pregnant. And actually the other day, and at that point I think I was like 22, almost 23 weeks, one of my students, I wore something more form-fitting, and she's like, wow, I can tell now that you're pregnant, but you hide it really well. That's because my clothes don't show typically that I'm pregnant. So people who don't know me don't know that I'm pregnant necessarily. So I'm standing on this train, and I'm not going to be like, hey, excuse me, sir, I'm pregnant. Mind if I sit? They may not believe me, or they'd be like, screw you, right? So I'm standing there for long periods of time because the train is moving so slow. And I mentioned in the last video, I have this, at this point, this pain from, not a pain, I should stop saying pain. It's a numbness that happens from pressure on a nerve in my right thigh that just causes numbness. And so that's happening because I've been standing for quite a while, either waiting for a train or just actually being on the train trying to get home. And then, of course, because when you're pregnant, you have more weight in the front of your body, so your belly is growing. So I'm starting to get back pain, and like I have a backpack that I carry with me that has like containers and stuff from my lunch. And so those 3 instances just really, not only emotionally just aggravated me, but it really took a toll on my body. My feet, of course, were swelling. It was just everything that I think it was about a week or a week and a half of this was just like, it was exhausting, and infuriating. But yeah, so that then I started to feel pregnant. Like I hadn't really started to feel pregnant because I didn't have any morning sickness. I didn't have like any of those early pregnancy symptoms. But at that point, I'm like, oh yeah, starting to feel pregnant because just all of those different parts of you are just so uncomfortable. And then my belly would just get tight and stuff, like just from, it was too much. And it was they were such long days. I was almost in tears at some point because like I was so close to home at some point, and then the train just wouldn't go any further. So I had to get off and then try to find a cab, but everyone's taking cabs, so there are none available, whatever. I'm still pissed about it, obviously. But anyway, that was my experience, and it was exhausting even more just because I had come back from the trip. So another thing too, like on a positive note, I was, again, from the last video, I started to feel baby girl. I started to feel baby girl, and she, again, kind of fluttering around. And then every now and then I would feel her sort of like the right side of my stomach would get firm, and so I would realize, but not painful or anything, but she just likes to sit on the right side, so I'd, be rubbing that side of my belly a lot because I'm like, oh, you just right here. She's very, very cute. So going back to the trip, because the trip, coming off of that financially, again, like, it didn't deplete me or anything, but it definitely like sets me back because I have to take time off, blah, blah, blah. So I decided that in preparation for March, because we're finishing out February at this point, in preparation for March, I would do a no spend month. And so for me, that means making sure that I only spend on the essentials, meaning I only buy groceries, so no eating out. I only buy products like hygiene products if I need them. And I put gas in my car and pay my bills, and that's it. So that's what I decided I wanted to do to try to recover and just save some money. And it actually did help quite a bit. I was able to put that money back that I had spent in Savannah for the most part that month, thanks to my no spend March. So that was really cool. During the 20 weeks too, I had a doctor's appointment. So I came back from the trip. Then the following week had a doctor's appointment. That was also, we had scheduled my anatomy scan for that time. And I was, I'm realizing as I go through this pregnancy that I'm becoming more and more of like a nervous Nelly, even though every time I go, everything seems fine with the baby and like she's growing and progressing accordingly. Like she's just, she's developing seemingly normally. Even though everything's been going well, I'm starting to notice like I get more and more anxious. So this anatomy scan kind of caused a little bit of anxiety. And that day, actually, it was snowing, but like really badly. And they were actually contemplating closing the clinic early. They managed to see me a little bit earlier than my regular appointment. But I was also nervous, driving through that because I literally couldn't see anything on the way back home. Like I could barely see what was in front of me. But the scan went really well. They confirmed that I am having a girl, and I was able to see her heart and just her brain, and the cutest like profile. So cute. And like I could really see more of her features, even though when I showed the images of the scan, the ultrasound scan to people, they're like, what am I looking at here? And I'm like, are you kidding me? I got so defensive. I'm such a lunatic. I got so defensive, and I'm like, can't you see that that's her profile? And like pointing out like her face and like her nose and her cheeks and her mouth. Like, how could you not see that? I got so defensive. I'm like, can't you see how cute she is? They're like, it looks like a blur. But yeah, Mama Bear kind of came out. I'm such a crazy person. But anyway, everything went well with her. The only thing is they couldn't measure her femur, or they couldn't measure her very well because of the way she was positioned. So they told me that I had to come back for another scan at a later date. Just when she's able to stretch out more, they can like take a better measurement of her. But the scan went well. And then after the scan, I went to my doctor, my lovely doctor, and who introduced herself to me again, even though we'd met before, but she decided to introduce herself to me again. There was like a bit of an issue with me where my blood pressure was a bit high, but I don't know if this is like anxiety or if I'm actually developing something known as preeclampsia. That's something that can happen. And actually, I forgot about this, but this actually happens in my family on my mom's side. Her sister and my cousin, they both had preeclampsia in their pregnancies. And so it's something that I really have to look out for. If my blood pressure consistently is measured high, then they're going to do more blood tests to see if I am actually developing preeclampsia. But so far, I forget which is systolic or diastolic, but anyway, the top numbers was high. It was like 148 over 77 or something. So they said the bottom number was normal, but the top number was high. So then the nurse left for a little bit, came back, and then my blood pressure had gone down to a closer to normal. So it was, I think at that point it was like 132 over 70 something. And so that was closer to normal. So they thought, all right, maybe you're anxious about having to drive in the snow and da-da-da. Like maybe, but anyway, we'll just see how that progresses. But when they do test my urine, there are no proteins in my urine. There's no indication of anything else going on that they need to proceed with further testing. But if I keep um, showing that I have like high blood pressure every time I go in, then they're going to, just to be cautious, do more testing. So that was it for the 19 and 20 week update. I hope that you're having a lovely week. And we're almost caught up. I'm currently at 24 weeks and 2 days. So one more video or a couple more videos, and you'll be caught up to me now and how I'm doing now. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure to subscribe. Also hit that little bell so you know when I've released a new video. And if you want to leave me any comments or questions, you can do so down below, or you can also copy and paste my email address. If it's something that's personal or private, you don't want other people to see, you can personally just contact me there. And if you want to stay more up to date and see how I'm doing on a more regular basis, you can also go to my Instagram, which is also down below in the description. So that's it for me for now. I hope that you're having, again, a good week, and I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Stepping out, it's Friday night. How I'm longing for this day. Yes, I'm single, oh, we want to mingle, and my friends